Okay, so it's day 2, and thank you for hanging in there with me. Um, I don't know exactly what you're going through, but for the most part, having worked with hundreds of addicts and alcoholics, getting the phone calls from their families, the situation will be different, but the emotional pain and the resentment and anger and all that stuff is always very similar. I just want to express that when I was going through my addiction, I don't know exactly why this happens. We become so selfish and self-centered. Our worries, our fears, me. And I don't know exactly why that happens. I do believe that it's because we become so disconnected from our heart. In the earlier video, I explained the heart and brain coherent state. Being in addiction, I never even considered uh, focusing on my heart. It just wasn't a thing. It took me 5 years of recovery to even consider what that meant. But at the time, when you're caught up in your head, you're so disconnected from who you actually are. And this becomes extremely frustrating for an addict. You very rarely feel good unless you're drunk or high for a brief moment, and then it's just a snowball of never-ending debacle. But I would sit there and I would blame everything in my life. It was always somebody's fault. Somebody was always an asshole, or somebody wasn't doing it right. And I always just thought that the world was never going to treat me right. That I could never really fit in with this world. Um, as I look back today, I don't know how my thinking got so narrow. And as I work with other people in recovery, it's the same thing over and over again. Selfishness and self-centeredness. It just becomes the way we are. So again, like I said in the last video, if you're experiencing the addict or alcoholic in your life and they just seem so selfish and they don't care, this is part of the disease of addiction. I'm not saying that you have to show them pity for this, but I want you to learn to stand your ground, to say no when you mean no, and to say yes when you mean yes. I don't ever want you to waver from your truth. I find it's very difficult for people to understand what their truth is when they're constantly being manipulated by somebody else. So connecting to your heart, this is where your truth lies. Your heart's information that it provides to the brain, it is never justified, it is never confused, it is never lied to. It's just information of pure truth. And qualities of the heart are compassion, love, generosity, gratitude, kindness. And this is where we access those parts. I know when I give my kids a hug, I can feel love radiate from my heart. It just happens naturally. I don't have to think about it. And, when that kid's got heart, he's really determined with a purpose, and that comes from the information from the heart. And that's where we get our strength from. So my purpose is to give you the ability to, even though things are very, very hard right now, to turn your own resentment, your own fear and worry into gratitude, love, compassion, and kindness. Because when you have love and compassion radiating from you, the HeartMath Institute has done 20 years of research, and they've discovered that the heart has a measurable field around it of about 3 feet. And they've also discovered when they put a group of people together in a heart-focused meditation that it would actually affect the entire room. So what they've come up with is that the way you feel, the way you express yourself, actually affects the environment around you. And the reason why I certified as a HeartMath practitioner is because it all just made sense to me. As I work with alcoholics and addicts, and I know that some of the biggest troubles they have is when they go home. And how could it not be that way? Nobody taught us how to be around an addict. Nobody taught us how to deal with the anger and the frustration that happens when you're dealing with an addict. But what we can do is train ourselves not to react out of built up feelings and emotions. What we can do is take a step back out of life. Especially we tend to think our way into feelings of anger and sadness and unworthiness and out of feeling the feeling of out of control. We tend to do that to ourselves. So if we can learn to train ourselves back into our heart, and what we're going to do today is actually create feelings of love, compassion, and kindness. And some of you might be so hurt right now. This might be a difficult task, but if you can even do it for 10 seconds, it'll actually activate that part of you. And then the next time you can do it for 20 seconds, it'll activate more of that part of you. And the purpose that I wanted to bring these videos to families in recovery is that we often lose ourselves when we have an addict in our life. And we're constantly being manipulated and we're constantly being lied to. So it starts to really mess with our intuition. And so what we need to do is start to activate more love and compassion. And today we're going to learn how to activate renewing emotions that are going to give life to your energetic field. So we're going to start that now. Now, what you want to do is try and just relax. Any negativity or what we call depleting emotions, just try and just let them go for now, just for the next 30 seconds. Just let it all go, whatever you're feeling. Now, I need you to remember a time in your life that you felt a lot of joy or you felt a lot of happiness. Go back to whether it's a Christmas morning or a love for your pet or a love for a small child or a love for a family member of some kind, but just revisit that time in your life where you know that you felt just amazing. And we're going to go back into the heart-focused breathing. So you're going to put your hand on your heart and just breathe a little deeper and slower than you normally would. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Once you feel that you have settled down, I want you to remember that memory, that time in your life where you felt just amazing, full of joy, happiness, or compassion. Bring that attention, bring that memory into the attention of your heart. Activating that emotion. Really feel it radiate through your heart. And just allow that emotion to radiate through your heart center. That feeling is now radiating through your entire nervous system. Really feel that joy or that emotion that you've created. Just allow it to be with your entire being. Now, again, this is just a starting point, but I want you to pause and replay that as much as you need to. And then once you get the hang of it, I want you to really try and sit with that. If it's only 30 seconds and then the next time's a minute, but I want you to work your way up to try and do 2 or 3 minutes and do that 3 times a day. The heart focus breathing in the last video can just be done it could be done in the lineup at the grocery store. It could be done while you're driving, like I said. That is just getting used to, and the more that you breathe into your heart, the more coherence you're going to create within your system. And ultimately, we all know the benefits of not being stressed. Being stressed is very hard on your immune system, especially these days. We need our immune system to be operating at its full potential. So I would just like you to revisit that video if you need to, and just get the hang of the heart focused breathing with the renewing emotions, bringing that emotion into your heart, and practice that 3 times a day. Tomorrow, I'm going to be back in your inbox with another breathing technique that I really know that you're going to benefit from. So I'm extremely happy that you're here, and I'll see you again tomorrow.